Hi everyone, I'm Helen Robertson and I'm a placements advisor here at the Career Service, and we're going to be talking today about LinkedIn and your online footprint when it comes to placements. So in today's session, we're going to be covering what LinkedIn is, how to use LinkedIn for your placement research, how to search for opportunities on LinkedIn, and your online footprint. So what is LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a professional social media network. It acts as a digital CV, which is a profile that you create and can be updated with the record of your achievements and your professional skills. It can also be used as a job searching platform across a lot of different sectors and for lots of different roles, and acts as a really good research tool for careers and different sectors you might be interested in. So, what is the difference between a CV and LinkedIn? So, a LinkedIn profile is customizable. The social media platform can be engaging and quite a social place to be. You can share your achievements, but you can also engage with other people's. It can be more detailed than a CV as there's no word limit, and it can be updated quite frequently, and it's active online, meaning it can be a constant speculative application. So ensuring that you have the right messaging out there about what you're interested in. So for example, searching for a placement, an organization or an individual could come across your profile and reach out to you specifically. This is compared to the kind of rigid CV that would be bespoke for each opportunity that you're applying for. So this is a rigid structure. It often is quite impersonal because of how short it should be. You can't always get across your personality, and you need to be making sure you're hitting all of the points from the application. And it needs to be reactive, as I said, to whichever opportunity you're applying for. So these stats are from 2019, but are to really illustrate how many people actually use LinkedIn. So at that point, there were 645 million users worldwide with 3 million active job listings. Obviously, when you put in your search criteria, these job listings will come down in number, but it's really just to illustrate how many jobs are actually advertised through LinkedIn. We've seen 9 out of 10 employers have LinkedIn. So your big organizations like Procter& and Gamble or P&G, they're going to have really strong presences on LinkedIn. But we're seeing obviously a lot of SMEs, startups, entrepreneurs have a LinkedIn presence. So it's really kind of diverse network. And up to 87% of employers use LinkedIn to source and screen candidates. So making sure you have a good online presence on LinkedIn is important, and making sure it reflects what you're interested in and what you've kind of experience you have so far. So getting started. So now looking at building blocks for your core profile. A little bit later in the presentation, I'm going to instruct you how you can get more detailed help on your building and expanding your LinkedIn profile, but I just wanted to look at a few key things. So making sure you've got a kind of presentable picture. If you don't want to use a photograph of yourself, you could look at using an avatar, but just try to make sure that it's engaging and welcoming. Your headline is really who you are and what you're looking for. So, for example, you could say you're a stage 2 student with studying, insert degree title here, looking for placement opportunities. And then when you get to the summary, that's where you can really expand. So that's where I would definitely be saying, I'm stage 2 or 3 of this degree subject, and I'm looking for opportunities in X, Y, and Z, that you're looking to do a 9 to 12-month placement in the 22-23 academic year, and that you're interested in X, Y, and Z. Then you could also add in opportunities that you've had, whether they're volunteering, whether you've had part-time work. You could be a part of a society or a club or something outside of university that you're particularly interested in. This is a good place to talk about that as well, so you can really show that you are a rounded person and what you are specifically looking for out of this profile. So a really good way to boost your LinkedIn profile is through skills and endorsements. So it could be that someone wants to say that you've done specifically well in a skill, so like presenting or researching, for example. They can say that you've done well in that area, or it could be that they want to write you a recommendation for something that you've helped out with. So, for example, you could be working in a part-time job. It could be that you've done something specifically well in a project or in a shift. You could ask your line manager or colleague to endorse one of the skills that you've used within that. It could be that you've done group work as part of your one of your modules. So you ask one of your peers in your course to endorse one of the skills. So that could be presenting, for example, research, or it could be that you've helped an academic or someone from the professional services like me out and they write you a recommendation or also endorse one of your skills. So for example, when any of the past placement students help us out with sessions, I'll always offer to write them a recommendation to thank them for their hard work. Using LinkedIn for placements. So finding opportunities. It's important to point out at this stage that there's different language used when advertising placement opportunities. Within the university, we call placements anything that's that 9 to 12 month work experience length. Internships tend to be 3 to 4 months, and then shorter work experience like work shadowing exists below that. But different sectors and different organisations might use different language. So an organisation might say they're looking for an intern, but this might be for a full year's placement. So I would say when searching for placements on LinkedIn or any other sites, looking out for the time frame that they want you for rather than what they're calling the position is really important. So as you can see on LinkedIn, it's internships for the placement year. So you would firstly go on the experience level and then click on internships, and then you can search beyond that. So here we've been looking for finance roles within the UK. So finance is obviously the sector, it's quite broad. So you might come up with things like marketing and finance, but you could look up with come up with data analyst, finance assistant like coming up there, finance officer, and then we've chosen looking in the UK. So it could be that you want to narrow your placement search to Newcastle or the Northeast, or you want to narrow your placement search to your hometown or country. You want to look kind of more broadly, so in the UK, or even looking for overseas opportunities. So if you really wanted to do finance in Australia, you could look for opportunities that way, which is a little bit harder, but we can talk about how you can understand more about recruitment processes overseas a little bit further in this presentation. So researching organisations is another great way of using LinkedIn. So this could be researching an organisation that you've always been interested in, or finding out organisations who are linked to sectors that you're potentially interested in. So for example, here we've looked at FDM Group, but then it's also showing that people also view HSBC as well. So it could be that you come across an organisation that you could potentially reach out to see if they've got opportunities for placements, or could it be advertising actively for placements through this method of research. Once you've got to the organisation's page, you can see there that we've highlighted a few tabs, but they give a really good idea of what they do, if they've got any jobs advertised at the moment, and the people that work there. So it could be that you use the Alumni Tool, which we're going to go into in a little bit, to see who works at the organisation and reach out to them that way, or it could be that you look at the jobs that people are doing and see something that you're particularly interested in, so you could reach out to that person specifically with a really nice bespoke message. So making connections. This can sometimes feel a little bit daunting when you're starting off on LinkedIn, which is totally understandable. But unlike other social media platforms, it's not totally uncommon for people to reach out to people that they don't know and make connections purely based on the fact that they're in a job or have had a career path that they find particularly interesting. So start off by connecting with people that you already know. So this could be your friends, family, colleagues from any part-time work you do, people from your course or any societies or clubs you're part of, any of the academics that you work with as part of your modules, and us. So by connecting with people like us, you will also then have a kind of secondary network of potential people that you can engage with. So I am connected with a lot of past placement students and placements organisations who, recruit every year for placement opportunities, and placement students who would be a kind of font of knowledge of how to go through different recruitment processes for different sectors. So it's a really good way of boosting your network. It could be that one of your family friends is in a really cool industry that you want to kind of know more about. So again, by connecting with them, it opens you up to their network of people. I'm going to get onto the Newcastle Alumni Tool in a little bit, but basically this is a way of engaging with Newcastle graduates who might have a career path that you're interested in, a cool job that you really want to know more about, or have graduated from your degree and have maybe gone on to do some roles that you're interested in, or have gone to do something totally different to their degree. So you might reach out to them to ask how they did that, how did it feel doing something totally different? And you could search for people who inspire you. So this could be through a series of keywords or through other contacts. And with all of these people, when reaching out, it's always good to do a tailored message where you talk about your similar interests and the reason for connecting. So it could be as simple as, I'm connecting with you because I'm currently looking for a placement and you have got really interesting work history, and I can see you did a placement at X organisation. So joining groups on LinkedIn is a really good way of boosting your profile. It's also a really good way to keep up to date with sector news and to broaden your network. So by connecting with people within the groups. Could be that you join a group and then see someone who has a really similar interest or a career path that you're particularly interested in, and you reach out to them that you might have not found without joining that group. Professional bodies also may have groups online, so they might need you to have specific information in your profile before they accept you into the group. For example, I know that IChemE need you to have in your education that you're studying chemical engineering before they'll let you into the group. And also by joining groups, it really demonstrates to future or potential employers that you're interested in certain areas. So if it's specific to the industry that they're part of, it shows that you're keeping up to date with the sector news as best as you possibly can. So for the alumni tool that I mentioned before, this is found on the Newcastle University LinkedIn profile page. So once you navigated to there, if you scroll down and go to the alumni tab, there's a series of different search functions that you can use. You can look to see where our alumni are based throughout the world. So if you were interested, for example, in working in Australia, searching for someone who's done your degree, for example, who now works in Australia in an industry that you're interested in, connecting with them might be a really good way of understanding the recruitment process and what's needed to go to Australia. Or it could be that you're reaching out specifically to ask if the organisation they work out might have a specific placement opportunity. So that would be the kind of speculative approach, or you could use it for research. The search terms could be used in different ways as well. So say you've always wanted to work for an organisation, have a look to see if any of our university alumni currently work at that organisation, and it could be a way of reaching out and seeing if there's any potential option to have a chat with them, or if they've got anything if they're in the process of recruiting, or if they think they will be in the future. This could just be a way of getting the right information of who you should contact, so they might put you in touch with some kind of graduate recruitment or HR team within that organisation. You could also look for what kind of degrees they were on as well. So some degree subjects will have a more direct route, like engineering, but it could be that you are studying history and are kind of unsure about what kind of placement opportunities you want to go looking for, that you don't even know which kind of sector you want to start looking in. So by looking to see what other history graduates have gone on to do after graduating in the past, using that what they studied tool is a really good way of understanding different links to different sectors. So now we're going to be looking at your online footprint. So this is what organisations or recruiters might see if they search for you as part of a recruitment process. So as we mentioned in the LinkedIn stats, a good 84% of employers will have a look for you on on the internet to see what they can find of you and to see how you come across, especially on LinkedIn, but also potentially other platforms as well. So I'm going to start things off with a professional email address. A lot of us will have that kind of embarrassing first ever email address, which I would definitely not advise using for applying or reaching out to organisations or applying for roles. So making sure your email is as professional as possible, using your name or initials is a really good place to start. You could also use your university email, but I would only suggest doing this if you're going to be actively looking at your emails outside of term time. So making sure if you did apply or for a job or reached out to someone that you're checking those emails if you went home for Christmas, for example. So how do you use social media in general? A lot of you'll have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and it could be that your profiles are open. This is absolutely fine, but I would always do an audit to see if there's any information on there that you wouldn't want a future employer to see. So if there's any kind of embarrassing photos or kind of photos of you on a night out looking a bit worse for wear, maybe consider making them private just for the duration of you searching and applying for placement roles or graduate roles. And have a look at what comes up when you search for your name. So you could think, oh yeah, I've made everything private on different social media platforms, but you might have missed ticking one little box and could potentially see some stuff still. So doing a little bit of a check, asking a friend or family member to do a bit of a check to see what comes up when you search your name and maybe a few keywords like Newcastle upon Tyne, just to see what they can see that comes up. So this is a really good way of making sure that you have the best possible online footprint when organisations potentially search for you during the recruitment process. So now I want to discuss some potential next steps depending on where you are with your LinkedIn profile. So if you haven't got a profile yet or still in the early stages, I would definitely recommend going to the search and applying pathway and selecting the LinkedIn activity. This is going to be a really good resource for you to get a draft profile or boost your profile with the tips on there. After that, whether you've got a profile you've been using for a few years and you're kind of really into LinkedIn, or you're just starting out with that draft profile, I would go and get some one-to-one advice. You can do this through My Career, or there's also information on how to do this through the searching and applying pathway. But basically, this is bespoke advice on your profile and will definitely give it the boost you need. So go out there and make connections, join groups that interest you, and try and make your profile as kind of personal to you as possible. It can be daunting sometimes making connections, but unlike other social media platforms, LinkedIn is there for you to reach out to people even if you don't know them, if you're interested in their career or the organisation they work in, or them as a person, if they're an inspiration to you in some way. So please try and make those connections and try and boost your network as much as possible too. Also, we would definitely encourage you to check out the Alumni Tool, look at those different search options to see how you could research and potentially reach out to people, carry on researching companies, and then make sure you set up alerts to relevant jobs or sectors that you might be interested in for those placement opportunities. So if you have any questions, please come through to the cs.placementyear@ncl.ac.uk email address and we'll be able to answer them for you. Thank you so much. I hope the session has been helpful, and please feel free to connect with both me and my colleague Tom, who's also a placements advisor as part of the career service. I'm Helen-Robertson- and he is Thomas Meadows too. Thank you, everyone.